Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com or look for us on Facebook at Voices from the Bench. Greetings and welcome to episode number 22 of Voices from the Bench. My name is Elvis Dahl from Summer Dental Laboratories in Zionsville, Indiana.
And I'm his co-host Barbara Wojcik from Night Dental Group, Oldsmart, Florida. We made it to 22.
Double deuce.
All right.
By the time this episode airs, the race for the future triathlon will be over.
Yay.
But because both Barb and I will be there, we are recording this before the race. So you're going to have to wait until next week to get all the dirty details and results. Also, if you head over to Facebook and like Voices from the Bench page, we'll have all sorts of photos up from the whole race weekend. So check us out.
Oh, that's cool. You're going to put photos of us up there acting crazy and getting in Lake Michigan and hoping we don't drown? Sweet.
I hope to have live footage of Barbara finishing the race. That's my goal.
Ooh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing two races. I'm doing one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So choose the one where I look better.
Okay, yeah, just do me a favor. I can't bleep live video, so keep it cool.
The only part that you may hear a cuss word come out is when somebody kicks me in the head when I'm swimming. It's not fun, but hey, it is what it is. So
yeah, it's all part of the experience.
Anything for the foundation of dental laboratory technology, anything. So,
do you think you're going to win the most money raised?
I think a lot of racers got more corporate sponsorships. Mine were mainly individual. I'm up to $5,200 today, very proudly. Thank you for everybody that donated that's listening. So either way, it's a win for me and it's a win for our industry. So I just want to get through the races. I'm really stoked.
Today, we are continuing that wonderful conversation we started with the two licensed denturists. They had some really good things we talked about, but this week we're going to get more into how to become a denturist and the schooling, which is very interesting, and also what the association does for the denturist field. So let's continue our conversation from last week with Todd and Patrick. Here we go.
Enjoy.
Voices from the Bench. The interview.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship to each of our areas of expertise.
I love that. I would think that would lessen the opposition, and scratching each other's back is a perfect way to work together. So I don't understand that. So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys accept insurance like dentists would?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So they can go to you with their insurance policies and you have to deal with all of the things that the dentists have to do. So are you comparable to less expensive, more expensive to the dentists?
So Barbara, I'll take that first and then I'll let Patrick finish up. When you come into a denturist office, as Patrick was saying, there's a ton of different business models, from a single person, a single denturist that answers their own phone, seats their own patients, does all their own lab work, to full dental clinics where you have receptionist, insurance coordinator, treatment coordinator. You have a lab staff that does pour-ups, assistants that are helping. And so it runs the gamut. To answer insurance question, yes, we do accept insurance. However, it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
Because most insurance companies don't allow us to participate in PPOs. So they lock us out from that, which is frustrating. Because by and large, most denturists are less expensive than dentists. Not all of us are. And there's definitely different business models where someone's selling 10 Volkswagens versus the other denturist down the street is selling the Mercedes or the Bentley. I know that there's denturists out there that actually charge upwards of 5 figures per arch.
Wow.
For their dentures.
Wow.
Now, those are highly customized and they take a long time to get there. But I also know denturists that are out there that are charging $300 per arch. You're getting something different in either case, and you're marketing to a different segment. But I would say that by and large, most of us deal with insurance either by billing them directly or helping our patients by giving them the correct forms and procedure codes to be able to do that.
It's interesting how you say the insurance companies are kind of blocking you out. And I wonder what the connection is with them and the other associations that you were talking about. Not to get too political on you, but I wonder.
The way that things kind of go here in Maine is, general rule, there's no insurance company that we can participate in network with. So that's sort of it can be a little bit of a barrier to treatment. And most patients are pretty understanding of it. The patient will pay for their service, their treatment up front, and then we'll submit a claim on their behalf. And then if the insurance company does cover Denturist, then they'll reimburse the patient. There are a few insurance companies. The one that comes to mind is MetLife. And they don't cover anything having to do with a denturist. In their terms and agreements, it specifically says, service to be rendered by a dentist. My understanding is some of the insurance companies, they have, a little bit of a political alignment, that there are, a lot of dentists on their board of directors. And I've heard that's maybe part of the problem. I think in some places it's just an education problem. They're not aware. Some of these insurance companies, they're just not aware of what denturists are. Could be one or the other, or maybe a bit of both.
So how do you guys usually split your day? Do you usually see patients in the morning and then do the lab work in the afternoon? Or do you just kind of alternate, or how does that work?
For me, I generally will see patients during the 8 to 5 hours. Actually, tonight, as soon as I get done in this office, I'm actually running back to Bangor, which is about an hour away, to see a couple more patients there. And then normally I do what lab work I can in between patients as we have breaks in the day. But most of the time, I'm going back in the evening and playing catch up on the weekends to get everything done.
Oh, sure.
So whereas in the old office that I worked in, we had, I think 7 technicians at any given time, that a lot of the work I was handing off. They were pouring impressions and articulating cases and doing most of the setups. So, different business models have a little different flow to them. So
what point are you going to decide to hire somebody to do all that for you? It sounds like you're working a heck of a lot of hours and weekends.
Yeah, my wife just brought me something to look at, and she's shaking her head no. So I'm at a point in our practice where I think it would absolutely make sense. There's pros and cons to everything. One of the things that we're looking at is, I just don't know enough about it, but the potential that maybe digital technology is going to bring as far as taking some of that workload away. At this point, it sounds a bit on the pricey side, and I've heard opinions on the capabilities of it and the quality and what it can do. But it appears that that's the way that things are going. And that might be, a direction that we go in. But yeah, I think at some point, we at least have to, do something, whether it's, hire another person or two, or, it's hard to say what the best right answer is. Whereas, I know Todd's got 4 offices and, has a pretty well-oiled machine. So, it's no right or wrong. There's good, better, and best. And it just depends.
And what's your quality life on the weekends? Once you're working both days, I'd be like, all right, good. I need somebody. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, like they say, Barbara, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think for those of us that do have a passion, I heard you talking about you leaving the bench and going home at night, and you love it.
Yeah.
You just love what you do. I tell you, it's the same for 99% of denturists that are out there. Again, we get to work with our hands and create these artistic masterpieces, but then the frosting on the cake is the direct relationship building that we get with those patients directly, and being able to see that translate into their smile and their quality of life, the trajectory of their life changing with just a smile.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely life-changing.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what is your day like, Todd? I mean, you have multiple offices. You sound like you're an extremely busy guy.
Yeah.
And
the
school. Absolutely. When's the last time you had a day off?
I've had to be intentional in that. I think people that do have a passion in their profession, they do have a tendency to not focus on the self, and taking care of yourself in that way. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I've put great people around me, and in some cases, a lot of cases, better people than me around me, and tried to set them up to succeed. And that's been my brother and I are partners in our businesses, and that's really the way that we approach everything. Is we have this saying: we only hire people that we'll actually barbecue with. Meaning, if I can't spend a couple of hours flipping a burger with you and having a cold beer, you're probably not going to work out in our organization.
I love that. That's great.
But to be direct in the response to how my day looks or how different business models look, when and Barbara asked Patrick, when are you going to hire some help? Well, it's tough when you're used to being the QC guy, the person that's doing the actual work, and you start to hand that off. It can be freeing, but it can also be full of anxiety and difficulty if you're not prepared for that process in changing business models. Our business model, we actually have lab technicians that do a lot of the work. We still require, I've got 6 denturists working with us. We still have the denturists set the 6 anterior teeth. Obviously, they take the bite registrations, the centric relations, take all of those recordings. So, but what we found is, doing the 6 anterior setups kind of lays everything out from there. It helps with the QC on the end. And,
oh, sure.
And then we have people that check at various stages of the process through wax up and finishing. And final, just to make sure that the level of quality that we're shooting for with our business models being met.
So the technicians that work for you, are any of them CDTs?
At this point, right now, no. Would I love to have a CDT? Yes. But they're very few and far. As you know, I think what are we down to, like 12 schools or something like
probably
that?
less
I
than
think
that.
It's 7, yeah.
Yep.
Might even be 11 now. I mean, it's extremely difficult. I think that model needs to change. I've talked to Bennett Napier and a few other folks in leadership at NADL, and that I, for the life of me, don't understand why dental technicians don't push for licensure and to help, I guess, in a lot of different ways. It's there's too few barriers to entry and not enough cohesion in amongst the technicians to be able to withstand all of this stuff that's going on, the market disruptors that are happening now.
So tell me, how does one become a denturist? What is the schooling? Is it a 4-year school?
Yeah, so in the United States, there used to be 3 schools up until Bill Buxton passed away. The New England School of Dental Technology closed down, I think about 2 years ago. So now it's the American Denturist School and Bates Technical College are the 2 schools here in the United States. There's 5 or 6 up in Canada. By and large, they are 3-year, 2 to 3 year programs. Most of them are 2-year with a year-long internship or externship that's woven into them like that. Some of them don't have that, but they run the gamut of on the learning side of things, from teaching general anatomy and physiology, pathophysiology, microbiology, to pharmacology and infection control, radiology. And then depending on the school, there's some general electives. You heard Patrick talk a little bit earlier about kind of the armchair psychology that we do in regular practice that denturists engage in. So the American Denturist School, we actually have 3 psychology courses.
Wow.
That they get down into, and gerontology, and into helping clinical practitioners understand the chair side and what they're dealing with in transitioning from natural dentition to prosthetic, and the sense of loss that ends up happening. They're anywhere from an associate's degree to a 3-year diploma degree is really what we're looking at right now.
And if I can piggyback, this is an interesting kind of anecdotal story. Talking with one of my old professors from George Brown College in Toronto, Joey Della Marina. He just has a very interesting way of kind of putting things in perspective and going back to that psychological loss. He said to me one day, he said, by definition, technically, a denture wearer is considered disabled. They're missing a body part that's replaced with a prosthetic. And I kind of scratched my head and said, okay. And he said, and what's even more interesting, he said, the more I've thought about it is when someone loses a limb and they undergo physical therapy, occupational therapy, and many times even some psychological counseling to help deal with and cope with that. And he said, here we are for the better part of 100 years. We've been shipping denture wearers in mass, saying, here's a prosthetic, and just let it settle in and you'll get used to it, without, a lot of coaching and, kind of hand-holding that goes along with it. And that's such an important aspect of it. And a lot of times, like Todd said, the relationships that we develop, that can really make the difference between someone who is going to be successful, because they also, it's not just for them, they also don't want to let you down now. They want this to work because we're in this together. And that's I think one of the bigger differences. And it's not to say that dentists or other, healthcare providers can't do that. But when, you deal with dentures and only dentures, and you understand the difficulty that comes along with it, I think it's a little bit easier to make that investment and know that these are critical components of good treatment. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
So to follow up too, as far as schooling and that is concerned, the vast majority of the schools subscribe to the International Federation of Denturists baseline competencies. Those were first established back in 1991. They've since been modified in the mid-2000s. But basically what they do is they establish those areas that schools need to produce graduates that are competent at various levels of competency to be able to go out and get licensed. Beyond that, the education side, every single state has both a written and a practical exam that require candidates that are seeking licensure to complete. Again, the written examinations generally are 2 to 4 hours. The practical examinations, though, they vary a little bit. Most of them are single day practical exams where they take a patient from scratch. They start with a preliminary impression. They take that preliminary, pour up models, build a custom tray. They do a final impression with border molding and the whole 9 yards, do a final cast. Then they'll do a bite registration. Then they'll do a full setup, and all of that has to be done between 8 and 5 p.m.
Wow.
Now, they don't end up doing the processing, but they take it all the way through to the wax try-in, and they're being judged at every step of the way, including through their asepsis. So I know Maine, and there may be a couple of other states that also subscribe to a multi-day practical examination where they have to actually take it all the way through the processing. And in addition, I think Maine may have the most difficult practical examination because they also have to do some surveying work on models to demonstrate that they can survey for partials. But Patrick might be able to speak a little more to that.
Yeah, our examination is a little more rigorous. Usually it takes between 2 and 3 days. There's 3 of them that oversee the examination process, and normally they do it in groups of 4. Each one of the examiners looks over it separately and independently, and they've got a different protocol for sure. But there's some other components. I believe even they've got a bend wire and do a number of different partial designs. So it's not a cakewalk, that's for sure.
No, as it shouldn't be. Let's talk about the association that is for Denturist. What is its goal? What does it do?
Right now, our NDA, going back 20 years or so, it was really more of a grassroots organization of sometimes at conferences that were less than 30 people there, and it has grown in strength and in mass, especially in the past 10 to 15 years here. And I think at last count, we were over 400 members, Todd?
That's correct. Yeah.
So we're growing steadily. We've got more and more folks that are going through, getting educated. Right now, Washington and Oregon are our 2 largest, most populous states. But Maine has added. We've gone from about 20 to 35 active denturists here in the past 4 or 5 years. So it's coming along. And then also our state organizations, as they're growing, they're contributing to the NDA. But our mission is really to the biggest goal that we've got is to try to get that 7th state and get to that 8th state and keep growing the states that can provide denture services to the public. And that's going to come from, being able to network and kind of show our, our profession to the world. So that's really the biggest goal overall. Right now we have a conference every fall in Las Vegas, and we invite technicians, dentists, anybody who is interested in bettering removable prosthetics to come and be a part of it and see, what we do and how we do it.
So yeah, your meeting is in October. How can people find out about it?
Our website is nationaldenturist.com. We've got a Facebook page that we've put out a number of updates on, and I think I've even used the Voices from the Bench page here to share a few things. Those are the two biggest ways, and certainly you can reach out to myself or Todd. My email address is cmdenture@outlook.com. So feel free to reach out to me if anyone is interested in finding out more.
Follow up with Patrick on what the NDA, the National Denturist Association, what we represent. We represent access to specialized or expert care in the field of removable prosthetics. And really, the NDA exists to raise that awareness in all of these unregulated states that denturist is a profession. It's an educated, licensed, insured profession of folks that are passionate about restoring people's smiles and their lives through removable prosthetics. Mm-hmm. And so they work with educating bodies, they work with regulatory bodies, they work with the state associations and even individuals, if that's what it takes to ensure that this profession grows and that people across the United States are able to have this access to care.
So what is the big selling point for a patient to see a denturist rather than a dentist if they're looking for a denture?
Yeah, so for the quick and dirty for me on that is that when a patient comes to me and says, why don't I just go to my dentist? Well, number one, I can actually deliver that prosthetic a lot quicker. If a dog chews up a person's upper denture sitting on their nightstand for whatever reason, which happens routinely, we can actually put that denture back together, or we can build a completely new one, usually within a day. And that's without any of this digital stuff that's out there. That's all hands work.
Yeah.
And so it's the speed at which we do it, but it's more important than that. It's not just the speed. It's the expertise. When you've got 20,000 dentures under your belt, I'm a lot better than most dentists that are out there that do 1 or 2 a month. Mm-hmm. So the ability to fit this removable prosthetic that's made from acrylic, against soft tissue that's constantly changing and moving based on loss of weight, change in diet, change in medication dosages or types. I'm uniquely qualified as a denturist to be able to look at the prosthetic as a whole and troubleshoot that to ensure that the person is going to be able to walk out and chew and function and smile in their day-to-day life.
Yeah, just to piggyback that, I mean, he's hit the nail on the head, but I'll use an example. A dentist I used to work with, that he was a general dentist that specialized in extractions. He's very, very good. I could easily put him up against almost any oral surgeon as far as his efficiency and quality of what he does. And it's not a talent that he was born with. He's acquired it through practice and doing it over and over and over again. He's been exclusively extracting teeth for, I think 16 or 17 years now. And I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, when that's all you do, you can't help but get very, very good at it. So like Todd said earlier, there are a lot of dentists that do have great prosthetic vision and can probably make a very, very good denture. But when you balance that amongst all of the other procedures that they're tasked with doing, it's difficult to build that volume and that cache of work experience. So, when it comes down to it, it's all we do. And, the panache and the devil's in the details, as they say, and the little things that we've seen over the course of our experience. It's hard to, you can't learn that. You have to go through it for sure.
Yeah, it just seems like it's common sense. If you want the best care for anything, go to the people that specialize in it and do it on a regular basis. It just makes sense.
That's right.
So before we wrap up, What do you guys want all the dental technicians that listen to this podcast to know about Denturist? Other than what we've already covered, obviously. What do you want everyone to take home? What do you want everyone to realize of your profession?
Honestly, the biggest thing, and what I've been doing, I've had a handful of assistants, technicians, hygienists, other dental auxiliary who, kind of like you, Elvis, said, what is Denturist? What is this all about? Want everyone to be aware of what it is, whether it's so that they know, either where to send people or where maybe they want to go for a career or as a profession. And there are some misnomers out there, but I think just to know that, like Todd said, we're uniquely qualified to do this job and deliver prosthetics to the public. And I hope that we had Jeremiah Nass. He came to our conference. He actually presented, and just once he got amongst us, he was like, "Wow, this is what I want to do." And I believe he's signed up now at the college. So we hope to not only have that impact on our patients' lives, but also show other people that this is a fantastic career path for those that it's appropriate for. And like Todd was saying earlier, it's an easier leap to go from owning a dental laboratory and being able to work that in once you have the education and the licensure, of course. So that's really kind of a multifold direction that we, what we want people to take away from this. So hopefully we'll hear other technicians kind of raise their eyebrow and start taking some interest in it. If nothing else, we offer fantastic continuing education and be a resource for others. So
I've been attending laboratory conferences for probably 6 or 7 years now as a representative of the American Dentura School. And it's been interesting because the first couple of times that I attend these, people would actually walk by. I'd actually vendor at them, and I'd have a booth that said American Dentura School, and people would kind of walk by. They'd look, and a few minutes later they'd walk back by going the other way. They'd look again, and finally get them to engage. And there's kind of a little bit of intimidation about what a denturist is. Like you were asking, Elvis. Most people don't know that we work directly with the public, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, almost every single removable technician that I've met in the last 8 years has worked chairside.
Oh, yeah.
Either on their own, as Patrick says, out the back door, doing a denture for a friend or a family member, or they've been called into their dentist's office to help them fix a problem. And the thing about denturism is yes, it's removable, but we're also doing fixed removable hybrids. We're working on all on fours or all on sixes. We're doing dentures over implants, locators and stern gold and ball attachments in those. But the difference is that we're coming in to the dental office with that dentist as a partner, an equal, and we're getting paid for our knowledge and our skill. And so what I would tell technicians is look at this profession, especially in what's gone on in the last 4 or 5 years with technology and the change that's happened with fixed, with emerging technologies in CAD/CAM over the last 10 years. And now we've got printing that's FDA approved and starting to make some inroads in that. Take control of your life. Look at this profession because it's going to allow you some independence, but it's also going to allow you to keep doing what you're doing now, but to have more control in a better collaborative, a healthier collaborative relationship with the dentist that you already enjoy working with.
Well said.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen. I appreciate you joining me today, and I've learned a lot about Denturist. I didn't know much about them, but I appreciate you guys coming on, and I'd love to have some more Denturist on. I know we've talked about it, Patrick, about having you guys come on various other topics.
Absolutely.
Because obviously you guys seem to really know your stuff, and I appreciate your expertise. I'd like you to share it with everybody.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, Elvis, I appreciate you having us, and Barbara, thank you. I went to a course in Florida, and Rob Greason told me about it, and I was like, man, that would be great. And he was like, no, like you guys need to go tell everybody about what you are and what you do.
Absolutely.
He's like, I had no idea this was a thing. And I said, well, let's tell them. So I appreciate you guys letting us on, and we'd be happy to come back anytime.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Everything that we discussed, I usually put some links up so everyone can go to our website, voicesfromthebench.com, and check out the links for the association, the upcoming conference and everything. So, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Be good.
Thank you. Have a great
Have a
day.
good
Have
one.
a great weekend, everyone.
Yep, you too. Take care.
Bye. All right. I want to thank Patrick and Todd for sharing their experiences and their knowledge on denturism with us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Amazing interview.
The more I think about this whole Denturist thing, the more I really kind of like it. I really encourage all technicians to check out the National Association of Denturists Conference in Vegas, which is October 10th to the 13th. I know it's hard for a technician to get clinical experience unless you have a good relationship with a dentist, but a denturist, if you think about it, can teach us clinical aspects of dentistry while at the same time looking at it as a technician. Really, I think it's going to be a beneficial learning experience that all of us technicians can tap into. So check out nationaldenturist.com for more information. So I've learned while talking to people about this podcast that there's actually a lot of people that don't know what a podcast is or how to listen to one.
Just like me.
Like Barbara when I introduced her to the whole thing.
Yep.
So Patrick, who we interviewed on today's episode, had a suggestion for me, and that is put Voices from the Bench as a YouTube channel.
Oh.
It's the same content. It's only audio. The only image you see is our logo, but now it's a little easier to access because, you know, who really hasn't used YouTube? So head over there and search for Voices from the Bench. Tell your friends, coworkers, vendors, dental office staff. Voices from the Bench can now be heard on all podcast apps directly from voicesfromthebench.com and now on YouTube.
Yay! Great idea. Thank you, Patrick. Like us, share us, email us, give us ideas. If you want to be interviewed, give us a shout.
Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com. Hit us up on Facebook. Any way you can get a hold of us, we'd love to have you on. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye. So true.